Okay. Hi guys, we're back. We're going to try to blast through the asks that I have. I think there's about 10 of them. So let's just dive in. Just as one of your YouTube comments was talking about pilgrimage routes in Spain, that suspect TWD Facebook spoiler account posted this. We're looking forward to Daryl Dixon and Carol in Spain for season 3 of the show. This beautiful nation has roots stretching far back in time with rich cultural heritage, a varied landscape and geography, and people who have survived many changes over the years. There are so many things to appreciate about Spain, including the heroic Knights Templar who protected pilgrims traveling on the Camino de Santiago, the Way of St. James, across the north of Spain. These knights kept bandits from attacking and killing travelers and built fortresses where travelers could rest in safety. We expect to see a gang of robbers on the show, riding motorcycles, carrying weapons, notably a huge axe, and generally terrorizing communities already struggling for survival. Yeah, okay. This is super interesting. On the one hand, it's just another example of what I always say that probably this post came from the powers that be, wanted them to post something about this, and they're kind of telling us yeah, what to expect on the show because they're talking about these guys on the motorcycles, but more than that, they're telling us what it means and what they're in a really sneaky roundabout way. They're telling us what the theme is and symbolically what it means in the story. Okay, so most of the GA might be like, cool, and not really get much else from it. But we have the pilgrimage symbol, we have see the fun thing is, okay, so I actually do know quite a bit about the Knights Templar. I've researched them and I actually wrote a book about them and I'm going to write more. It's been a few years though, so I probably need to brush up. But yeah, I mean, that's what the Knights Templar was originally founded to protect Christian pilgrims on the way to Jerusalem because they were being attacked by bandits and highwaymen and robbers and things. And very often they were being attacked by people who hated Christians. It was very much part of the Holy War, right? Um, so if these guys on motorcycles, they're telling us that these are bandits. They're not actually saying that they're a Knights Templar, but if they are comparing it to this, and if there are these guys attacking people, then it makes sense that there would be someone who is also defending them. Um, so here's a few possibilities that are popping into my head and that might be changing my theories a little bit. Number one, I mean, we could see Daryl as one of the Knights Templar, and I am perfectly happy thinking of him that way, especially given that he just came from, his story with Isabel and was in a monastery for part of that. He is protecting people from this band. We see that on the trailer that he's doing battle with one of these guys on motorcycle, the guy with the big axe, right? Second, could there be another group that we're not quite picking up from the trailer that is also protecting people that maybe Daryl will run into? Could this be a group that Beth is with? Maybe, maybe. Three, we do know that there is one other group, the guys with the ram's horns. What if the guys with the ram's horns are protecting people from the motorcycle group? What if they're not bad, as we've said, and they're actually rough, but kind of good? Lots of possibilities here, lots. Um, no idea where they're going with that, but they are telling us this for a reason, okay? They're telling us that there is a theme in this season that is based on the Knights Templar. And they're not telling us who the Knights Templar is symbolically, but they are telling us that the guys on the motorcycles are the hoodlums that represent the people the Knights Templar were fighting against and protecting other people from. So we're going to keep a close eye on this. We're going to see how this plays out in the series, but that actually makes me super excited. And obviously, this is a religious symbol because the Knights Templar were warrior monks, right? They were a monastic order. And yeah, just super, super interesting. So thank you for sending that in. I did not see that. I probably not would not have. So I appreciate that. That's really making me excited. Okay. All right, next one. I just joined Team Delusional. I stumbled across your account and I want to say I absolutely love your videos. Thank you. I love you too. I appreciate that. Okay. So here's something interesting. I was actually watching SDCC interview videos from last year, and David Zabel said they were currently shooting season 3 and that it was going to be 6 episodes. Now, a year later, suddenly it's 7 episodes for season 3. That's super suspect to me, and I can't stop my mind from thinking that the reason it changed from 6 to 7 is flashback material that extended the episode count. Woohoo! Let's hope so. Then in an interview this year, they said that season 3, episode 5 is going to be the ultimate version of The Walking Dead if Sergio Leone had directed it, director of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and many other Westerns. That makes it sound like episode 5 is kind of the finale, but then what's episode 6 and 7? Either freak out with me here or help me get my brain to stop giving me false hope. Um, I don't know how well I can answer this yet because I haven't. So I watched The Good and the Bad and the Ugly years ago, and I don't hardly remember it at all. So I need to watch it again. And then maybe I can answer this better. That's a really interesting idea, and I kind of hope you're right because that would be cool. So what you're saying is that the arc that they planned in terms of what's happening in the plot with Daryl and Carol in season 3 maybe ends in episode 5, and then 6 and 7 were added on for some reason. And that would make sense because if Zabel planned this arc and knew it was going to be 5 episodes, then that's how he would have talked about it, right? Back last year. So yeah, the other thing this reminds me of that just automatically pops to mind is that season 4, 4A, which was the bleeding eye virus at the prison, it actually only lasted 5 episodes. Um, they brought back the meds and people started getting better, and um, Herschel and Michonne went out to burn some of the bodies. That was all at the end of episode 5. And then 6 and 7 were about the governor. And we saw everything he'd been through in his journey. And then, of course, 8 was when he came back and bulldozed the prison. So if that's true, man, they've done that before, right? That's been a way that they've told the story before. So I hope so. Like I said, I want to watch The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly so that I can, everyone's telling me to watch it and figure out what the parallels are. And I promise I will, I just haven't yet. And then maybe at that point, I can, I mean, it would still be conjecture, right? But maybe I can give some more direction on um, what the 5th episode may be about or how it may be structured. But I just don't know yet. I have no idea. So I'm perfectly happy to freak out with you. I hope you're right because that's very insightful. And it very well could be, but I don't have a whole lot of details to add yet. So I will come back to that, I promise. All right, but thank you for sending that in. That's a really cool idea. Um, skip that one. Sorry for all the asks, but that spoiler account is at it again. You don't have to apologize for the asks. I love them. I honestly don't know what to make of this account because while they have been posting filming spoilers, they in equal parts seem to be interested in just promoting the show in very specific ways. Here's their latest odd but informative post. Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, one of my fellow theorists sent me one the other day, and it said spoilers, and I don't even remember exactly what it said, but it was exactly what we saw in the trailer. So there was nothing new there. And I kind of laughed and I was like, those are not spoilers anymore. That just came out in the trailer. We saw all of that. There's nothing spoilery about that. But it feels like they want to be a spoiler account, but they're, like you say, they're more like promoting it and giving us these little tidbits of information than actually spoiling anything. And a lot of their filming spoilers are just like, Daryl and Carol were seen filming at this location. And it's like, cool, but that's great. I don't mind knowing that, but that's not a spoiler for what's going to happen in the show. So yeah, I agree. It's kind of a strange account, but that is why I like to pay attention to it, right? Norman and Rita says, I think sometimes it's better to do the opposite of what people expect. So they're surprised. He wants to do the opposite of fan service, i.e. reunion with Rick or a romantic story for Daryl and Carol. Yeah, this is that same, I kind of referenced this over the last few videos, and they're making the headlines are having fun with a lot of what he said. I mean, I've seen so many things that are like clickbaity headlines based on what he said, but it's not really what he said. It says things like, Norman says exactly how Daryl's character is going to die. And it's just the thing where he says, I've always wanted the character to end this way, but that's not what he's saying is going to happen, right? The headline makes it sound way different than what he actually said. Or like it'll say things like, this one kind of does it. The Walking Dead star offers disappointing update about the potential Rick and Daryl reunion. He never said anything like that. He's just saying that that's something that the fans want, and they don't want to do exactly what the fans want. That doesn't mean that we're not going to get a Daryl and Rick reunion, right? This specifically says a romantic love story for Daryl Carol, which, yeah, they've said that's not happening, so that's true. But I've even seen ones that say he says that Daryl's never going to get a romantic love interest, and it's like, yeah, okay, that's not true. First of all, that's not what he said, and second, they've told us that he is, and he's going to find his, um, happy ending, in the spinoff. So anyway, just to say that I've kind of had to chuckle about some of the headlines based on what he said. But yeah, I think so it's kind of both. I mean, I think the reason that you're jumping on this, and I agree, is because he's talking about shocking the fans, and there's no one other than TD who is thinking Beth's going to return, so that would be very shocking, and it would be the opposite of what people are thinking. So in that sense, yes, very sus, and I can get behind that. Um, but I also think that uh, he, people are also taking what he said out of context, like I just kind of went through. So in some sense, they are doing exactly what fans want. In some sense, they're not. I guess that's what it comes down to. And you have to kind of read between the lines to figure out what that is. Like I said, he is getting a love interest. We've been told that. So you have to read between the lines there. But if he's specifically talking about a Daryl Carroll story, then he's telling the truth. That's not going to happen, right? So, yeah, really interesting. But this is something that Norman said. You can find the clip that has it's one of the interviews that's come out of Comic-Con. But yeah, to your point here, um, they're emphasizing this, right? So the way that I see this, let's put it this way. Everything that they say in those interviews are things that have been okayed by the powers that be. They're given talking points. They're usually they vet the questions in advance so they know how they're going to answer them. And that's just so they don't sit there and go, okay, let me think. And every once in a while they get a question that they don't have an answer to right away. But for the most part, they know the kinds of questions they're going to be asked and they know how they're going to answer them, right? Then, assuming that the powers that be are informing this site, this profile or this page or whatever it is, um, they're telling them to focus on what Norman said and to do an interview about that so that it's reaching more people who might not have seen the interview. So they are really emphasizing this in a big way. And they're telling us that they're going to do something that's surprising for the fans. Um, and that Daryl and Carol, once again, they're reiterating that that's not going to happen. I think they're kind of teasing the reunion with Rick. I still think that will happen at some point, but they're kind of teasing it. So yeah, I don't know that I have a whole lot more to say about that, but it is interesting. And like I said, I do have a good chuckle at the way some of the clickbait headlines, what they say. And I'm like, yeah, that's not what he said, but okay. So thanks for sending that in. But Queen rules. Now that we know we are in a 15 episode window for a Bethyl reunion, I've been thinking a lot about how they are going to plot out Beth's return and reunion with Daryl and Carol. There are a few templates they could use from the flagship where Team Family characters were gone for a while and even presumed dead and then reunited again with Team Family. Have you seen any symbolism indicating which template they will use? The problem is that I've seen too much. Morgan's finding Rick again in season 5. Michonne finding Rick in The Ones Who Live. I had considered the Consume template, but I feel like that was used in DDS2 with Carol's journey to find Daryl. From seeing the motorcycle to finding a Noah in Codron, it seems like they wouldn't repeat the template this quickly. Any thoughts? I mean, even though these all have their differences, in a lot of ways, I feel like they're all the same template. Um, and I don't know that I think they're going to follow one more than the other, but like you said, all of them are characters who were gone or who were missing for a long time and then show up again. And I just feel like we see this template all over the show, even like little micro templates of it. So one that comes to mind is Tyrese. In season 4, Daryl and Michonne and everybody go looking for medicine. And remember that originally they were in Zach's car, and then it got overrun by walkers once the college was in sight. There's this horde of walkers. And they had to get out of the car and run. And remember that Tyrese wouldn't get out of the car. Now, he was really depressed at this point. He was in a very dark place because he had very recently lost Karen. But the point is, they left him because they didn't have a choice. They didn't want to leave him. They were surrounded by walkers, and he was choosing to stay there and choosing to die. So that's a really strong parallel to Team Family leaving Beth behind, specifically because they were overrun with a horde of walkers and didn't really have much choice. And then they run into the woods, the others. So it's Daryl and Michonne and Bob. And then they see some walkers kind of come out of the woods, and then Tyrese comes walking out. And he actually got out and fought his way out, and he was okay. So once again, we have someone who was left behind in a car, presumed dead because he didn't want to fight and he didn't want to live. So they're just assuming the walkers got him and ate him. And then he comes walking out of the woods. You see what I mean? Even that is a template for Beth's arc. It's just a very, very small one that happened within a few minutes within the same episode rather than over many episodes or many seasons. So um, I think in every single one of these, we have seen parallels to Beth's arc and, the way we think they're going to handle her return. So like I said, really, I've seen too much. It's not that I haven't seen enough. And so I couldn't really say, again, that they're going to follow one or the other, but I think we will see aspects of all of them in the way they do her return. And beyond that, I don't like to speculate too heavily because there's plenty of other ones too. There's Glenn's death fake out in season 6. Even baby Judith in season 4, when they saw the blood in her car seat, it was a car seat. Okay. They could have used a playpen or a pop-up crib or something. It was a car seat and thought she was dead. And then Tyrese had her and she was alive and she was fine and she reunited with Rick and Carl. So we see it everywhere. So I don't know that I can answer your question very specifically. I do think they're following the consumed template in a very high level way. I'm not saying it's going to be super specific, but I think there will be aspects of that in there too. So I'm sorry I don't have a better answer for you, but I just think that we're going to see parallels from all of them. And, we'll just have to keep an eye out for them. All right. So I just saw the Den of Geek interview with Norman from Comic-Con, and he explains how Daryl is like a penguin. Okay, so this was something that a YouTube comment mentioned as well. Because when he falls in love, he is in love with that person forever. See, I don't remember this comment, so I must not have seen this interview. I will go looking for it. And I will write down to make some comments on it. Gimple is next to him nodding yes during that answer. That made me remember that in Daryl Dixon, season 1, episode 1 of the first scenes is Daryl getting on the boat listening to the audio tape of the man talking about he and his wife's 10-year anniversary, and Daryl is holding a stuffed penguin. Okay, so I was asking where that was. I was thinking that whoever put that, maybe this is the same person who put it on YouTube. I was thinking that that was in the flagship show, and I was like, I don't remember him holding a penguin. Okay, so it was Daryl Dixon, episode 1. Good to know. That's likely what the penguin was meant to symbolize. I agree. Once Daryl is in love, he is always in love with that person, not to mention that coincidentally or not, Beth died 10 years prior. Yeah, and we also saw a lot of just parallels and symbolism in the fact that this man was talking about his wife, that it was a romantic relationship. Yeah, definitely, definitely. So, yeah, between what I said before and the way you've explained it, yeah, I don't think I have a whole lot more to add other than just to reiterate what I said before. They are dropping major hints here. 10 years ago, like you said, Daryl fell in love with someone, and if he's a penguin, then he's never going to fall out of love with her. If Daryl falls in love with you, he's going to love you for the rest of his life. To me, I get that I can't say that it's proof, but to me, that's damn close to proof that it's going to be Beth, because it can't be anyone else. There's no one else that he's been in love with like that, and certainly not anyone else 10 years ago, right? So yeah, thanks for sending that in, and I will go look for that interview because I must have missed that one. But that's huge, guys. I will freak out with all of you. That is huge, and I am so in love with that because it's very good for us. Thank you. Why do you think the Daryl Dixon panel for SDCC has not been released to YouTube or AMC Plus yet? As of today, it's been 1 week, and I'm feeling like they are hiding something because there are a lot of other panels released. Also, did you see Gimple's posts about the event? He only posted 2 pics and let us know that they were taken in the green room. Do you think that was for us? I like to think so. For this, unfortunately, I just have a great big I don't know. I don't know why they haven't been released to YouTube or AMC yet. Maybe they will be at some point. Maybe you're 100% right and they are holding back or trying to hide something. I honestly don't know. I couldn't say. If Gimple's posts, I am actually more inclined to be suspicious of because he does not post that often. He posts semi-regularly, but he's not like Norman that posts all the time, practically every day or every other day. You know what I mean? And documents most of his life on social media. He doesn't do that. So if he's putting pictures up, then it's very intentional. And, you know, he has every opportunity attending these events to take hundreds, if not thousands of pictures. He could use any of them. So whatever he's posting, he's doing intentionally. So he very well could be trying to get our attention with that. Obviously, I don't know what he's thinking, but if you think that that was suspicious, then yeah, I think you're probably right. So that's about all I can say about that. We'll just keep watching for the panel. Maybe it's just taking longer, you know, maybe it will be released in the next week or two, but we'll have to wait and see. So I hope that it is because I do want to see it. But other than that, I'm just honestly not sure. I don't have a whole lot of thoughts either way. Hey, yeah, will you be doing a little analysis about the good, the bad, and the ugly? Yes, I will. From what I read on Wikipedia, there's some interesting things, including the main character not having a name, being called Blondie, and their fake death scam. Yeah. Like I said, I watched it a long time ago, but I hardly remember it at all. So I will be rewatching it. I will try to get it done this week so that I can do a video about it next week. And I'll let you know, okay? You said you're sure the guy on the horse in the trailer isn't Norman Daryl. How can you be sure if you can't see his face? Not doubting you, just curious. Well, you know what? Let me show you something. Hold on. Okay, so this is part of the trailer. I actually turned off the music because I slowed it down to half speed, and that's going to sound really creepy. So this is half speed, and we're going through it. Here we go. You see him right here? It's still not a great picture, but this guy is almost like, first of all, remember that we were looking at the picture of his back and saying that there's a guitar arm sticking up above his shoulder. This guy is actually playing the guitar as he's leading the walkers away and singing. So if you can capture, if you can get a good glimpse of him, it actually looks kind of funny when you're watching the trailer. It looks like he's swaying side to side in his saddle to the beat of the song that's being sung. And clearly that's not the case. It's just the way that it looks in the trailer. But the point is, he is riding his horse, playing his, I don't know if it's a guitar or like a banjo, whatever it is, a stringed instrument, and singing. You guys, that's not Daryl. He's not going to be doing that. Okay. It is really important that they're using music to lead the walkers away. I think that that's something that we can equate to a Beth theme or a music theme. So let's do it again. Can you see him right here that he's playing whatever it is and he's kind of swaying back side to side? So that's why I know it's not Daryl. Like you can kind of see his face, not in great detail, but yeah, that's not Daryl. So that's why I say that. Hopefully that helps. Okay, guys, that is all the asks I have as of this moment. So we did power through them. I'm going to try to get one more video up by the end of the week, and I will just talk to you then.